Why should you read? It's been for thousands of years, and so it means that it literally works. It makes you a better person, it makes you more intelligent. You can make a better jokes because you can use historical references. You're learning how to focus, and you may even learn some anecdotes from the books. What else do you even need? Reading books can make you more money because you're gonna acquire new knowledge. Only a couple of months ago, I literally hated reading, and so I thought that it's not for me, it's just for some nerds and etc. Even though I kind of look like nerd, and I have chess, and they also have chess, but that's okay. First tip that I can give you is that stop reading. Like seriously, stop reading the shit that you don't like. If it doesn't entertain you or if it doesn't give you the knowledge, then why should you read it? You should read the stuff that you only are interested in. If you're watching, for example, a TV show or a movie or a YouTube video, you would skip it if you don't like it. You wouldn't even watch like a 15 minutes YouTube video if you don't like, for example, the first 2 minutes. You would be like, hell no, I'm not watching this. Life is too short to read the shit that you don't like. You don't find it interesting, for example, first chapter, second chapter, then just go to contents of the books. Look at the chapters and then pick the one that you like. Start reading them instead of those that you don't like. The second tip is schedule your reading. A lot of people getting wrong saying that I'm gonna read when I feel like it, but you're never gonna feel like it. That's the exact way how to put in 0 minutes of reading. What I like the most about reading, that is like the most portable hobby that you can literally like read on the toilet, you can read on the bus, read on the plane, you can do house reading even in the restaurant, which is kind of stupid, but that's okay. The first thing that you can do is just like put it on your calendar. And for example, it's like, 5 p.m. I just came back from the work or from the gym. I can read like for 30 minutes. Like it doesn't have to be long. Or even like if it's gonna be like 10 minutes and you're gonna read like a few pages, that's totally fine. Like the most important is just like to bring it to your routine, like to get used to the reading. And so in my opinion, that's the best way to go. And even when you're on a toilet, you can still read. That's actually pretty fun. You should schedule your reading, for example, after your work or after your gym session. So you have one habit that you already have and you build another one with your reading sessions. When it comes to reading, people think that if I want to read like 100 pages a day, that I have to book 1.5 hours of my calendar. Like, no, you don't have to. You can just 15 minutes there, 15 minutes there, and it all stacks. And so this way is way easier to read instead of like mini sprints, instead of like the marathon. It is way easier. You should focus on finding those like little time blocks where you can put your reading sessions, like on your commute to work or to the gym or at the gym. Tip number 3 is that you should make it more enjoyable. I mean, we're trying to make a new habit, and in our case, it is how to read or how to implement reading in our routine, is that we should make it as joyful as possible. The last thing that you want to do, that you want to have, is to make association with reading is like to suffering, or just like you're gonna have like the boring ass session, especially if you're reading in your non-native language and it's like stressful, difficult, and etc. But no, you should make it as pleasant as possible. And so take a cup of coffee or the drink that you like. It is actually quite a nice strategy because you're combining pleasure that you already have in your routine. In my case, it is drinking coffee with a chocolate bar. Just start reading. For example, like you read a page, you made a sip of coffee, and then you put the piece of chocolate in your mouth. You should make it as good as possible to implement your reading. In my case, it's just like, for example, after training, I can just come back home and just like start reading with a cup of tea. It's still quite hot. It is a really nice way to do it. And so if you have your rituals, or if you are a morning person, you can schedule your time with drinking coffee in the morning and then like with reading like 20 pages of the book, which doesn't take as much of time. Average pace of reading is like 1 minute per page. 20 minutes of reading, 20 pages. I think I read faster than that at this point, but also depends on the book. Find your own rhythm, because some days you're gonna read 100 pages and some days you're gonna read 10 pages, and that's totally fine. The main idea of this point is that you shouldn't break the chain of your reading. And so if you have literally like 0 time, like you can still read 5 pages before you go to bed. The easiest to come up with an excuse rather than to actually put in the time or like just like a couple of minutes like to read. And so for me, it is way better to read, for example, one day I'm gonna read like 10 pages, another one is gonna be like 50, another one is gonna be all again 5, but the day after I'm gonna read like 200 pages. For me, it works great. The point is to find the rhythm is that you shouldn't break the chain and you should find your pace. And for example, if it's comfortable for you to read the way as I do, like to read 100 pages one day and another one like read only like a couple of pages, it's totally fine. As I said earlier, you can use those like mini sprints. If you are like on your commute to studies or to work, you can read those like 15 minutes. Make your phone boring. It's not connected with reading exactly, but if your phone has no social media, for you it's gonna be the default activity to read because it's gonna be way easier, like because your time span for your attention is gonna be way wider, way easier like to focus on a book because you're gonna be like, I have nothing to do. If you're not gonna have them and you have like only books surrounded you, for example, I have it on my window, I have it on my table, I have it on another table, and probably I have it on my couch. If you're making your phone boring, it's gonna be way easier for you to use that like the free time or like those like when you're bored time to read instead of just like doom scrolling. That is really cool to just make your phone boring and just keep on turning the pages. How to remember what you read. It's gonna be really short, you just don't. You don't have to emphasize anything because like if you're reading the literature that you're gonna implement, it's not like just some sort of like cheesy romance or something. If you don't use it in practice, you're gonna forget it. The most important thing in that you have to do it in practice. It's just like if you're gonna buy the nutrition book and you can still eat the garbage, what was the point to read the book? The same way about the financial education is that if you have a salary like 3K and you're gonna spend it like all on some just like bullshit, then what was the point to read that book? It was just like for entertaining. If you actually want to remember what you read, you should implement the knowledge like immediately. For example, with deep work, where I took it personally is that I deleted social media from my main phone. You should try to implement the knowledge from a book just at once. The same way with the 12 year, like from the 12 year, as I feel, I took stuff about periodization. And so, for example, this 12 weeks, I'm focusing on making content and getting better in editing, scripting, and other things that are connected with YouTube and social media because I also cooperate with Chess Podcast. I'm focusing on those like fewer things, and it taught me that it is important for you to not only to emphasize like with the market or with something else, but it's also to use the tips to implement it to your own life. Because no matter how many books you're gonna read about the nutrition and fitness, if you're still eating garbage, if you're not moving your body, you're never going to lose your fat. I hope you found this video interesting, entertaining, and helpful, like first of all, and I wish you good luck. See you in the next video. Teeny tiny book, like just like look at this, like just like compared to Psychology of Money, for example, it is this small, and if you're gonna take the 100 million offers, it even looks more ridiculous because that's a big ass book.